YouTube, it's me, Jen, your pudgy picker.
And Kim.
And we are here for another podcast, Two Sisters,
One Booth.
And this week is podcast number 48.
Oh, I was going to say, I forgot to mark which number that was.
48.
And
everybody wanted to know how you were doing.
I'm doing better. I've still got a little cough and a little clearing my throat now and then. Thank you all for your loving concern. But I did put on I'm ready to go for this one. I've got my colored chapstick on and everything.
Woo, boy.
I know nobody could see me, but it makes me feel better about myself.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, you go. Well, you know what they say about putting lipstick on a pig?
Oh, I didn't say that.
No, but the look you were giving me, I know
if
you were going
that,
there.
I would have got punched in the mouth.
Okay, back to business.
Yes. So this week, this is something we've often talked about, Kim and I, of doing a podcast, and we just never got around to it. So since we're going to podcast number 50, I thought we better get on this, because otherwise it ain't going to get discussed in this forum. So we're going to be talking about, are you burned out?
Oh, tired. Just don't want to do it.
Don't you hate when you ask somebody, hey, how you doing? I'm tired. It's like
I just
everybody
said that earlier. Somebody said that to me.
To complain.
I try not to either, but I was yawning at the time. It's a little hard to cover for that, you know.
So that's what we're going to talk about this week. And there's a lot of reasons that we can be burned out. And we're talking about specifically burned out of doing a booth.
Yes.
So, you know, we always start these discussions with questions. So I guess the biggest question is why? Why do you feel that you are burned out?
Why'd you lose your joy?
Oh,
why don't you love me anymore?
Oh, boy.
Well, we're not going that deep.
Yeah. So you need to question yourself, why is it that you are feeling burned out? And there's a lot of reasons why that could be. If you've been doing this for a while, you could have a different life circumstance than you did when you started. Your kids could be, you know, going through different things, different levels of school, different, you know, extracurricular activity.
Spit it out.
So things that need more attention. There could be someone in your family or you yourself that have a health issue, and that could zap some of your energy and make this job more difficult. So what other reasons do you think we could have for being burned out?
Well, you know, sometimes your work circumstances change, and you might have to put in more hours to help make more money or whatever, and that can affect your ability to find the time to go out.
So it's not only time that you would have to actually physically go to your booth and straighten and restock, but also the time or energy to go out and source.
Yeah.
That could be difficult. You wouldn't have the amount of time that you used to, the amount of time it takes to get those things cleaned up and priced and ready to go out. Also, it could be time to source or money. Maybe your money needs or your money situation has changed. You don't have the money you might have once had to source.
Amen, sister.
To find those items that you could pick up and resell. Yep. I know when I garage sale, the price I get for items is way less than I get in the thrift store.
Oh, yeah.
So you may be able to, you know, get things at garage sales, but maybe, you know, a thrift store maybe is a little bit out of your reach. Yeah. And if you're not putting new items in the booth, then sales are getting slow, and that can be frustrating. So that frustration can make you feel like, why am I doing this? So that's another big reason you could be burned out.
Yeah, you know, if you don't have a lot of money to be able to go out and source too, we were talking earlier, you have a lot of people that you work with or friends or, you know, family members. Just kind of let them know, you know, just bring it up in conversation. You know, I was thinking I'm going to be cleaning out my closets and stuff soon and blah, 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 blah. You know, if by chance, if you're getting ready to do any spring cleaning, or if you have a, you know, box of stuff in the garage or something you needed to get rid of, or just haven't had time to donate, you know, just kind of keep me in mind, because I really wouldn't mind, and I would love to be able to, you know, take those things for you, and then I can donate whatever I can't seem to find use for. A lot of people, it saves them time too, because then it's like, great, now I can get rid of this box. I don't have to go out of my way to go donate it. I don't have to, And a lot of people are like, I don't have the time to donate it, but I just don't want to throw it away, so it just sits there. So, you know, by offering to take some stuff off their hands, if anybody's cleaning out their house or doing some spring cleaning, you can get some free items. And granted, you know, you may have a box of junk that's not anything that you can sell or to repurpose yourself. But at the same time, even if you find one thing out of it, it's money that you didn't have to put out, and you help somebody out.
And it was free.
Yep, that's the best kind of
price.
price.
Because free is my favorite price. You know, and I think when you do this job a long time, people know that you do it.
Yes.
And things find their way to you.
In fact, I haven't had a chance to tell you, but someone I know mentioned to me that they had some lamps that maybe had a chip here and there, and they can no longer use them in their situations.
Ooh.
Because they may have a chip or a crack. But she said they work fine. They still look beautiful. So she said, when I get in there to clean this part of that out, you know, if you want them, I'd love to give them to you, since I know you could use them.
Sure.
So once people kind of know too, they're not ashamed to say, here's my crap, take it away.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, some people might feel uncomfortable with that, but really you're helping them as well as yourself, because I know there's times I have things that, you know, you just wish you could, you know, donate them, or
and they
yeah, and it's, you know, it would be nice to, you know, have somebody that you know that could use that, either use the money and when they sell it, or they're going to donate it, so it's not going to go to waste.
Yep.
So that's, you know, that's a good
I've
way to
even
do
gone as far as at a garage sale, and everybody was getting ready to close up, and they were talking as I'm looking at the last items before they boxed it up.
Oh no, you're not one of those.
Oh, I am. And they were saying, well, we could don't know, we're just going to take it all out by the road for the trash for tomorrow. And I was appalled. So I kind of, and just in general, chit-chatting and stuff. And then I said, I heard you saying that you were going to be putting that stuff out for the garbage. I said, but, I would love to be able to take this and donate it for you instead of putting it in the garbage, because I know somebody out there could really use this stuff. So if you'd like, I'd be more than happy to load it up I'll even box it up and load it in my car, so you don't have to deal with it, and I'll be glad to take it. If not, I understand, but I'm just letting you know. And they were like, oh, no, that's great. So they boxed everything up and helped me load it all in the van, and when I got home and I was able to sort through it, there wasn't a lot that I got to keep that was useful for me, for my purposes, but I saved a lot of things from going to the landfill, and I was able to donate it to somebody else that could use it. So win-win. Yeah,
I know there's different YouTube channels of people who scrap, and there's also a younger guy, I guess he lives in Pennsylvania, named Taco Stacks. And he does a lot of trash picking, and he scraps as well as sells at a flea market. Okay. So there's times when he starts to pick stuff up and people are saying, oh, are you looking for anything special? I got more stuff. Do you want this? Do you want that?
There you go.
So, I mean, people are willing to do that, and people just don't have the time to put that stuff in their car. And you know how it is when we go to donate stuff. Yeah. We put at least 50 miles on it before we finally get it where it's going. So,
and I have even when I've, done a massive clean out in the garage or after a garage sale or something, and I know it's not really worth me loading it up and taking it to donate it, because maybe it's got, a little bit too much wear on it. But I will wait to early in the day on the day the trash is going to go out. Yeah. Because I know that, there's going to be somebody going to go by and pick it up. Now, the old TV stand that I had in the living room, which was like more or less a record stand or something. It was sturdy, but the back wheel was broken off of it. And my daughter brought home her TV, and this thing is massively huge. So it wouldn't fit on there. So it was like, well, it's broken anyway. I'm just putting this out. And sure enough, within an hour, I saw somebody backing up, and they loaded that thing up and took it. Yeah, so, we had a table and chairs that I bought off of Craigslist that we use in our kitchen, and the chairs were getting really beat up, and I kept telling myself, I'm just going to have to recover them, or and then I found a set almost exactly like them that would match the table. And the table and chairs that they were selling was like $40, but I ended up liking my table that I had, and then the new chairs I got. So I essentially had a table and chairs,
And I put them out on a curb, and I mean, literally right away, somebody came along and loaded it up, and my son saw them doing that, and he said, I'll go out and see if they need any help. And the guy, when he came out, he's like, oh, can I take this? Are you throwing this? He's like, yeah, here, let me help you put it in. So, I mean, if you have something that isn't, you know, couldn't necessarily be sold and you can't use it, that's better than a lot of people have.
And I put it out early enough that people have a chance to drive by and see it. If it's something, if I can hold on to it, like if it's going to be raining or whatever, I'll wait and put it out the next week, because there are people that are going to pick it up. It won't be there.
And there's also different Facebook groups. I know we have a free cycle in our area that you literally post stuff that you don't want, and somebody will gladly take it off your hands. So, you know, why have something that has some good use out of it?
Yeah. And not to say that any of us purposefully go out looking to trash pick, but
no.
Did you know that if hint, here's a little insider deal here.
Yeah, what is it? Tell me.
That if your local, you know, like our city has a company that they're contracted with that does their pickups. And so it's always on a certain day, every week, same day. You need to get into a habit of the same time because they work on a schedule. And you can go online and look up to see what area is what day for pickup. And if you really wanted to, you could just scope out all your neighbors' stuff, knowing that this day's on Monday, that one's on Tuesday.
Yeah, because they have their schedule online.
Online, yeah.
I just recently picked up, I had it in one of my videos. It was a brass lamp with an adjustable arm, but it's stripped. So we're going to have to figure out how to fix that. But once I get that fixed, that's going to go for like $40, and it was free. So, okay, we're off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with being burned out. We were getting all excited, getting burned up, revved up.
So we've talked about being burned out because you're having a hard time finding or affording to buy or source items to go in your booth. If you just go to your space and you are there to do your maintenance and stuff, and you just look at it and it just it just makes you tired looking at it, then you have to think, maybe I'm burned out because I'm tired of looking at what I have, or I'm tired of looking at it in the arrangement that it's in.
Yeah, and like we said, when you your booth is going to reflect your attitude about the booth. If you are into this booth and into putting stuff out nice and wanting to make money and selling, you're going to be there. You're going to be straightening up. You're going to be always trying to tweak it. If you're like tired and I just don't have time to go up there this week, or it's going to show it. And when people walk by, they're going to see it messy. They're not going to want to bother to shop it either.
Yeah, because if you're not bothering to take care of it or to restock it or to make it where you can even walk in it, then if you are not showing that care and attention, then why should I bother to take my time to just look in there and try and find something to buy?
Because like we've covered many, many times in many other podcasts, is you get that garage sale mentality then. If it just doesn't look kept, it doesn't look kept up, it doesn't change, you think of that garage sale that you pass like every other weekend they have it open, and you don't even bother to go in there anymore because you know it looks the same, you're not going to bother with it. Yep,
it's true. It's that perception. And I know, and I'm not saying, you know, we get there and we're jumping up and down excited to work in the booth. There are days where we'll look at each other and one or the other, or once in a while both will say, I'm just not into it today.
I just got to muster it up.
Yeah, I'm just not feeling it.
I'm here, but...
So, I mean, there are times when you do have to kind of muddle through, or you're just not in the mood. And that's totally understandable, but... You know, making changes in your booth or changing out your fixtures or how you display items, it really does breathe new life into what you're doing. And I know when we changed out, we had some shelves in the back on either side, some, you know, just brown plain shelves.
You can go back and look at the video.
Yeah, and we took those out, and then we put in shelves, white shelves like we have on each side of our booth. And as soon as we did that, we were just so tickled with how it looked. We just kept standing there going, it looks so nice.
So bright.
And I mean, that gives you an extra little oomph to go and to do more in the booth, because you made that change, and it makes you excited to restage it again.
It's like me putting this chapstick on, the lipstick on the pin. Makes me feel better.
So I mean, anything, you know, if something's gonna put a little, you know, a little hitch in your giddy up, or however that's said. I mean, do that, you know, change out a few little small things, move some things around, find out, why do I feel burned out? Is it something I can do something about?
Yeah. Is it dull and unattractive? Why is it dark? And well, if it's dark in a corner, then see if you can string a lamp over there. On the the bottom shelf, everything's kind of you can't see anything real good. Well, get a rope light. They have them at the dollar stores. They have them at these other discount stores for like $5, and run a string light under a shelf or something to brighten up the area.
And consider, even if you don't have electricity in your booth, because I know some people don't. I mean, think about, having a shelf and taking it out and painting it white.
Yep.
Something to make
Lighten it up.
the items that you're putting on there stand out a little more. So, just
cover it and get some sticky tack paper that's white or a cream color, or marble.
Or marbly.
The white marble, something to brighten that corner up.
Yeah, because you have to do that. I mean, there's always been times in our space that, we look at one area in our booth and we're just like, I'm just not 100% on that area. Yeah. And Kim and I were talking before we started tonight and said, this is the first time in 10 years that we've been pretty much completely happy with all of our fixtures and all of our shelving.
10 years.
Yeah.
Literally.
And I'm like, did it really take us that long to figure it out? And then we discussed, we weren't the kind of people that wanted to spend $1 million to make a go at this.
Yeah.
I mean, we went in with what we had,
literally.
And we literally upgraded and changed out this and that when we had the money and when it made sense. And this is the first time that I can honestly say I'm happy with all the fixtures, and there's really no room to change anything out, and I don't want to change anything out.
Because we're able to change the look of the booth now by just recreating areas, moving things around, grouping them by color or whatever. It changes the appearance of everything, because the white isn't what draws your eye. The white is what brings attention to what's sitting on it or in front of it.
Yeah, it gives you that blank canvas. So things that you put on the shelf are going to stand out no matter what color they are.
Exactly.
And that's really a big deal. So, you have it makes it a fresh canvas.
Yep.
So when we do move things around, it totally can change the look of the space.
Exactly.
So, and we understand that things change in life, and we know that there's different things that come up that might, zap your time or your energy. And if you do get to a point where you realize I have to cut out doing, a physical space, that I can't do it because it's just, people say, well, I don't have time. Well, do you really not have time, or do you just not want to do it? And if you truly don't have the time, or you have a relative or something that's going through a serious illness, or there's some change in your circumstances, it's okay to say, I can't do this anymore right now.
Yeah.
And down the road, I could do it again. And there's no shame in that. There's no failure on your part. Life is dynamic. It's constantly changing. Your needs, the needs on your time, on your money, on your energy is constantly changing.
Oh, yeah. I could attest to that.
Oh, yeah. Well, our mom's been gone a little over a year now. And for several years before that, she was bedbound and lived with Kim. And Kim did so much to literally physically take care of all of Mom's needs. And us other siblings helped when we could and to what degree we could. But, that was a huge, zap on your energy and your everything. It is. And if if somebody listening is going through that, it's okay. And at that point you did step back, and since we are partners, that really helped, that I could take up the slack, and then it wasn't something you had to completely pull out of. You could do what you could when you could.
So I still felt it was a release for me, because it was something to get me out of the situation for an hour or so when I had someone to stay with her, and to get that break, that mental break. And of course, spend time with my sister.
Oh.
But,
yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. And I know something else we were talking, I don't know if I'm going out of order of your notes
Well,
here.
I only had one other note. I was just waiting for you to get to that.
Well, let's see if it's the same thing you're thinking of. That's something that we just kind of talked about. Do you have someone that could help you with your space?
You coined a new phrase.
Yes, I did.
What's the new phrase, Jenny?
Okay, everybody get your pen and paper out. There will be a quiz later.
It's another new item.
Do you have a booth buddy?
A booth buddy. Isn't it cute?
It's so cute. It's like in Toy Story.
Yeah.
Do you have a moving buddy? Because if you don't have one, get one.
Get one now.
So do you have someone who either wants to share the space with you, or who is just your friend and wants to come and hang out and help you and spend that time together? Yeah. I know there's been a lot of times that you've been kind of burned out, or I've been a little bit burned out, but knowing that we are going to meet a certain day and a certain time, it kind of holds you to that, oh, I better find some things to take out. And, so I mean, that's been very helpful, because I know probably the majority of the people that are listening are doing this on their own.
Yeah. Well, or another thing is, if you don't have a friend or a family member that wants to come hang out with you while you do this, maybe there's somebody else there that has a booth that's in the same situation with you, that is kind of hard or tired. They're the only one doing it, or maybe buddy up with them and say, hey, look, I could use a little help. I know you could use a little help. Why don't we, on this day of the month, get together and we'll go work in your booth, and we'll, fuss around with it and maybe straighten it up or rearrange it. And then on this day of this booth, maybe you can come and help me. Then you're getting a fresh input. You're getting the help. You have someone to talk to while you're doing it, to keep your mind off all the other crap that you keep thinking you should be doing at home or at work. And it makes the time more enjoyable. A lot of people that go on diets or want to start exercising, they make a fitness pal. They get somebody else that's going to do it with them. And one of the reasons that is because then once you say it out loud and you make a commitment to someone, then you kind of got to stick with it a little bit more.
You can't poop out and stay home.
So same kind of thing. Sit down and say, why don't we give this a try at least once? And if it works out, maybe we can continue to do this, or do it with more than one person. This month, why don't I help you? You help me. Maybe next month, hey, how about you and I get together? And it can make it more enjoyable, and, so you're not as drug out being there.
And it's fun talking about the business with someone. Kim and I talk about what we want to do with the space, or what our thoughts are, or, in this form of a podcast that we can sit and talk. And it's fun to talk to somebody who understands and knows the business like you do. I mean, when you're talking, to your spouse or to your kids, and I mean, you can be excited about it and they just kind of nod and smile. Oh, that's nice, but they don't get it.
No.
So it's kind of nice to be able to, I know there's times that we've both just brainstormed on something, and you've come up with a great idea, or I've come up with a great idea, or, we talk enough where we arrive at some kind of decision. And I can't imagine having to do that by myself. It certainly wouldn't be as much fun. And,
That's true.
I mean, I think it's the two of us have really made, we've been bettered our business-wise because of how, our knowledge and knowing how each other thinks.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes Kim will, want to do a decision or something in the booth, and she'll go, okay, before you say anything, just hear me out. And I go, oh boy.
Because it usually means an unbalance when you look at it. Because Jenny likes everything balanced. The same on the right, same on the left.
I know. Our booth is a mirror image of itself. And that symmetry, oh my goodness.
Makes you very happy, doesn't
it? It sings to my OCD. So, yeah, and I know that's not always possible. I know when we had our double booth, there's no way it could have happened.
It was time to pull the plug on that, because I don't think either of us was feeling any joy or happiness at that
There's
point.
only so much zhuzhing you could do until you're like, you know what, we just need to step away. And we actually when we left our last mall, and then before we started at where we're at now, it was, let's see, May, June, July, August. It was like 4 or 5 months. And that was weird to not have, and that's in 10 years that we've actually had no space anywhere. And, I'm very happy with where we are now and the setup we have and the area that we're at. But, you know, sometimes we did need to step away at that point.
Yeah.
And it was a good decision. And, you know, since we sell on eBay as well, I don't think we'll ever go bigger.
Yeah.
The idea of having to redo everything that we're like, yay, we're finally happy with everything. Okay, let's change it. I mean, there's a part of me that's like, oh.
No.
Because I know when we had a double space, we had a 20 by 10 booth. And that's a lot of stuff.
It is.
And I know that I got to a point in my sourcing that I was like quantity over quality. And I felt like my quality was slipping because I was like, I got to find things to put in here. And that's
everything
not
was
the way I wanted to do it.
It was just so mismatched. And it was so spread out, and there was a dumb pole that wasn't even in the center, so it kind of threw everything off.
Yeah.
It was just an accumulation of a lot of things. But it was, we don't look at it as a negative thing because we learned a lot from that experience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we learned about goods and bads, and, you know, it was a learning experience. Everything in life can be a learning experience if you allow it to be.
Look at it this way, and this is a good way to compare it, is when we had that double space and the fixtures and shelving that we had was essentially when you move out on your own and you leave your parents' house and you have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and nothing matches, but you somehow make it work because that's all you have. And now we're at the point where you've been married a while and you got a little extra money and everything's kind of matching and looks nice.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference between where we were and where we are
Big
now.
Difference.
And even when we moved into this space less than 3 years ago, we have changed out several things.
Yeah.
We had basically the same like 4 fixtures, and then we changed out the shelves in the back. We put in, you know, the shelves, the white shelves. And then we had kind of a dead space between the back shelves and the side shelves that we just recently bought 2 cube cubbies that had 3 cubes in them. And that fits perfect into the space. So even up until just a month ago, we were still moving and zhuzhing and changing things. And I think we're pretty happy with where we're at.
Oh, yeah. I love the way, I mean, the new fixtures there in the middle to hold the material, and then those last 2 put in. It dropped the eyesight where some things...
the cubbies for the fabric. That was another change.
When you would stand out there and look into the booth, it was like those 2 pieces on either side there just kind of distracted from that back wall. So once we got those brown shelves out, the white shelves in, and then it was still blocked by those 2, and then when we got rid of those and brought in the cubbies were just about the same height as the top shelf on both walls. So it really made a difference in the eyesight looking into the booth to the back wall.
Yeah, because we talked about, you know, getting like a 2 cubby, and then by the time I started seeing how tall they were, I knew that we would be able to squeeze that little 3rd cube in so it would be 3 high, so essentially 3 feet high. But yeah, I mean, it just came together and it worked out right. And you know, I still have a few fixtures. That's something else I was going to talk to you about. A few fixtures at home that I'm looking to maybe bring in and sell because we're not using them, and we're not going to be using them in the space that we have. So yeah, it's a constantly, you know, shifting. And I know we would always be in the back looking at other people selling their fixtures or their shelves. We were always on the lookout.
Love to go back there and look.
Yes, but I mean, it was always on the lookout because, well, for our booth, we want to change this, so we got to keep looking. I mean, we could have moved in there the first week and had it exactly how we wanted it. $500 later,
that's about it.
But we weren't going to do that. We weren't going to put that kind of money in. And I think when a lot of people start, they think, oh, I got to have all this stuff to sell, and then I got to have all this expensive, you know, new fixtures to put the stuff on. And I think a lot of people are just, oh, that's just too much of a time and money commitment to jump in. And then if you try it for a few months or even 6 months and you don't like it, you got all this stuff you put money into.
If you go back and look at, well, I've got pictures of our first booth. And we had the shelf that we still have, the one in the center back, the real tall white one my dad made for my mom. It was painted blue. So we painted it white because Mom said, if you want to use that, please take it.
Yep.
So we've had that from the beginning. That's always been center stage in the back.
Yeah, always.
Yep.
That's funny. That's true. That's always been the one constant.
And then then we're looking, what are we going to do for, we got to have something to have the stuff up off the floor. So Mom had those gray plastic storage shelves in the basement.
Yeah.
So I went down and unloaded those and took them apart and made them, I don't know how tall, about
like
4.
stuff you would put in your garage or your basement to store things
plastic,
on. Yeah.
Plastic, yep. And that's how we started off.
Yep.
But it worked, and it didn't look that bad. I mean, they were light gray, so light gray with white wasn't too bad.
Yeah, we had a baker's. We had a baker's rack.
The baker's
at one
rack
point.
I had from my house, and the table that you picked up out of the trash.
Yeah,
in the center of in the center of the.
So booth. I mean, if you go back in my videos, you will see when we moved in to our double space, and then what it looked like. You'll get to see what that double space looked like, and it just, I don't know, there was parts of it I really liked, and then other parts I just would look at and go, I'm not happy with that.
That back right corner, that right side was never.
It was a
good.
difficult space.
It was.
So, because when you go in, you don't want everything lining all the walls. I mean, you kind of, I don't know. So, yeah, you can always go back and look at that video. And that's kind of cool for us to go back and look and see.
Yeah, I have, like I said, pictures, because before you started doing the YouTube and everything else, I had pictures of us setting up the booth there, and my poopy colored walls that you love so much.
Gosh, it was like baby poopy, diaper poopy.
It was cheap.
It was
inexpensive
cheap
paint.
For a reason.
It was inexpensive paint. What can I say?
Yeah, that's why, because it was
ugly. It was oops, and they got it home and put it on their wall and went, "No, I'm not going to have this.
There ain't no way I'm going to have this greenish, brownish poop on my walls." So, but I mean, yeah, I don't think, I'm trying to think if I ever did I don't think I did anything in our booth before we got to the double space. I don't know. I'll have to go back because I don't think I ever did a video when we had one space and then a half a space. I don't think I ever did, because I've been on YouTube for 5 years. So probably not, because the last probably 2 years that we were there, we were in the double. No, it wasn't even that long. I don't think it was like a little over a year.
You started. I know you did some tours when we had the double booth before this.
Yeah, well, I did when I did, like, I'm coming in and I'm painting. Here's after painting. Here's when us moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
so right before that. We, you got a few shots, I think, of the other one, but
I'll have to look. Yeah, because I mean that's.
No, I got a lot of pictures. I should find those and send them to you. And you can
You know
post
what?
them
We
in there.
should, because we're eventually in the next couple months, we're going to start a new show, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But it's going to be a once-a-month show.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes, so we're going to have a lot of different, things going on, and maybe we'll pull up some of those older pictures and look at them and cringe at what we had going on. But, and I told Kim this too when before we started the podcast. I said, this isn't like I'm biased or anything, but I think our booth is one of the nicest looking booths in the mall.
There's a couple more that are really awesome, but I really think we are right up there.
And it's hard to sell a lot of smalls and not have it look like a big jumbled mess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's difficult. So
yeah. As we walked past one today and you stopped and went, "Oh no, this is just too much for my eyes."
I'm like, my eyes are hurting.
My eyes are hurting.
I mean, it's all little stuff and salt and pepper shakers and little figurines, and it was just your eyes are going, "Oh, I can't look at everything.
I can't focus."
Yeah, so we
but
do
that's
sell a
us,
lot
and
of
other
smalls.
people do enjoy that stuff. So if they saw all of those little things, they would be like, "Ooh, my kind of booth."
Yeah, that's the neat thing about it, is there's so many different booths and so many different personalities that it appeals to so many different shoppers and what they have going on.
There's one that's there's one that you couldn't make it any. I don't think we could make it any straighter if you tried. Is the one that has all of those like Matchbox cars and stuff. He's got all that tiny little stuff, and it's mostly all guy or boy related. And he does well. He does well.
Yeah.
But for you and me, it's like, oh, Well, but that's all it is. There's no really, I don't think there's any big stuff in that booth at all, is there? It's all little tiny. And that's a challenge. If you've got nothing but all that little stuff, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
To keep it neat and orderly and keep it in a way people can shop. So I think he does a pretty good job back there in that corner.
Yeah, it's it's a lot of work. And if you have a lot of larger pieces, it makes it more difficult because as those things sell and you're replacing it, your booth the look totally changes. Yeah. With ours, if we have a piece of furniture, we're allowed to have 2 items or 2 sets of items in the back furniture gallery. So if we do have a chair or a shelf or some kind of, other piece of furniture, that we can have it back there. It's not something that's in our booth.
Doesn't interrupt our
decorating. And there are people who literally have a huge shelf and then it sells and literally people have to go over there and pull everything off.
Yeah.
And then you come in and there's a big empty space and your stuff is everywhere because the other vendors are there helping to get that cleaned off.
Well, and there's no place else to put it because what it was all sitting on is gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you sell larger items, you can't help but have your space constantly change.
Yeah.
And I think if we didn't have the stuff in the center of the booth like we do, we could have a larger piece of furniture there that could sell. But I don't know. We do really well with smalls.
Say, yeah, with all the stuff we have in the middle there, I can't think of anything we'd want to get rid of out of there.
I know.
Because all that stuff is, our center glass, that's what attracts people. That's what this stuff always sells off that center glass.
Yeah. And I think, too, when we first started to downsize between the double space and we knew we were going to open another space eventually, it's kind of like, well, I used to live in a, 4-bedroom house, 3-bathroom, and now I got to move into a condo. I guess it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be because we knew which core pieces we wanted to keep, and the rest we could just let go.
What wasn't?
So, and that if you have any display pieces that you want to sell,
there's always another vendor
who's looking to
fill a space.
When
we started, we were always just like, oh, they got a shelf back there that's this tall, this big. Can we use that?
And just recently, I bought the little soap.
Yep,
my soap display that was in my booth tour video. That was bought from another vendor. The only other vendor who was selling soap, different than mine. So now I'm the only person selling soap. Yay, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, so I guess the whole gist of our podcast this evening is if you are burned out, why are you burned out? Really think about it. And if you're in a circumstance where you just don't have any time, I mean, is your time management that's not so good? I mean, when you say, oh, I don't have time to work out, you kind of do. But if you're making it a priority, that's the difference.
They say that you make time for what you really want to do. So that's what it comes down to. Do you really want to do this? Then you need to make the time. And
I've always heard the saying too: if you have something that needs to be done, give it to a busy person.
Oh, that's
so. I mean, there's if like you said, if it's something that has to be done, that person's going to find a way to squeeze it in. You have to put in. Okay, I'm going to prioritize this and this and this have to be done. And the other stuff, if I get to it, I get to it. You didn't mute your phone?
Oh, you with your phone sneezing over there earlier. Well, I can't help it that this dumb thing reminds me 5 times in 2 seconds.
Well, sometimes you need to be reminded that.
Oh, thanks.
So, yeah, really analyze. If you're burned out, why is it? And if you've been burned out for quite some time, then there's some tough decisions that need to be made. I mean, we all go through stages where you just don't feel like it. You're just, you're just not feeling it. This week, I'm kind of tired. I have other things to do. But if it's a continual, I always feel burned out, then you really need to, think about, why am I feeling this way? And is it something I can do something about? Is it time for me to step away? Or is it time for me to step it up, I guess, is the bottom line.
Yep.
So do you have anything else to add?
I think we covered it fairly well.
So we hope that you enjoyed our podcast this week. Please give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. You can email questions. We're going to have a question next week. Is going to be our question
Okay.
So we're going to be going through some questions. So if you have any, you can email me, jen@pudgypicker.com. You can follow me on Pinterest under Pudgy Picker, or you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram under The Pudgy Picker. So also make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And
thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yes,
Please,
I know. There's a whole list.
up.
There's a whole list of things I got to go through. I get tired of hearing myself say it. Okay, so we will see you next week. And that's it. Bye.
Bye.